Good afternoon and welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Thank you for joining us here on Gulfstream today. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Ron Nicoletti on the eve of Florida Derby Day. There's a lot of positive energy, a lot of buzz as we are just a few races away from the Florida Derby. Obviously, Mohaymen and Nyquist are going to duke it out there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's no joke on April Fools. We're going to have a huge day tomorrow. We're trying to prank each other, but we're so busy here getting ready for the Florida Derby. We haven't come up with anything yet.
You've got interviews. I've got interviews. They're running around, and
a lot of fun, but
it is a lot of fun, and like I said, a lot of positive energy there. And we do have advanced wagering today. We'll get to that in a second, but first we'll go through our featured wagers and our carryover. So we'll start it here at the top of the show. The rolling super high five starts in race 1, as does the early 50-cent pick 5. As we move along there to the 5th race on this 10-race program, it does kick off the 20-cent Rainbow 6, already a $65,000 carryover. They put a lot of money into it yesterday, and I would imagine they'll put a lot of money into it as well today. As we get to race 6, a 50-cent late pick 5 as well. And talking about the late pick 5, we do have on tomorrow's program, we do have some nice guarantees on Saturday, April 2nd, Florida Derby Day. And there's a tremendous amount of stakes action, an excellent undercard there, a really awesome late pick 5 sequence, $250,000 guarantee in that, and a $350,000 guarantee in the late pick 4. So a lot of action. And once again, you can, we have advanced wagering available all throughout this afternoon. No joke about it. I know it's on April Fool's Day, but we're not joking. It starts at 11:30 a.m. here. So just started actually, and you can bet every single race on tomorrow's card.
yeah, because Florida Derby Day is just a tremendous here. Long lines, lots of fun. So if you got the chance, you want to bet some of your maybe your Rainbow 6 ticket or something today, so where you can concentrate. Great to come over and maybe bet it this afternoon. But we definitely want you back here tomorrow.
We do. It's going to be a big day, and I think you want to, whoever's watching us, you want to definitely be here tomorrow afternoon, as well as it's an unprecedented event. We have two undefeated two of the top 3-year-olds in the country, and undefeated, battling it out before they even make it to Kentucky. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, you mentioned the buzz, and that has a lot to do with it here. It's just so many people excited about that race, and it's going to be race number 14 on tomorrow. So it should be a great day here at Gulfstream Park. But you know what? We got 10 races today we got to go through.
We do, and we have an early pick 5 ticket that you did construct, so I guess we'll start it off there with your early pick 5.
And I went with my $36 ticket again. I went 3 deep in here, 1, 2, and 6, and I 2's the logical choice in there, but hate to get knocked out in the front leg. Got 2, 3, 2, and 2 for, as I mentioned, a $36 ticket.
Okay, the 1, 2, 6 will start you off, and we'll start it off with race 1, 1 mile and a 16th there on the turf course, and the 2 for all the marbles. Even early money is opening up as your 8-5 favorite, and I'll use this horse into the mix. I go in a different direction with the 1 Scoria, primarily because I thought that this race sets up for his stalking style. Not to mention last time out he was bumped soundly out of the gate. If he can just get off to a little bit of a better start, that stalking trip, we have a tremendous amount of speed in here with a horse like the 2 for all the marbles.
Yeah, and if you go back to January 9th, you'll see this horse did exactly that. Sort of sat off the pace and beat for all the marbles. That was going 9 furlongs back, as I mentioned, on January 9th. But I did go with the 2 for all the marbles. Should have an easier time, I thought, today, on or near the front end after setting a pressured pace, weakening in that race. Finished 6th in his latest attempt at this level and distance. Dave Casson, MSC El Jaramillo, doling out his speed today. Went with the speed play, but you're right. He's going to be challenged on the front end and might set it up for the horse who I have in second, and that is the 1 Scoria who you have on top of your ticket.
I also threw in the 7 Pep the Champ here, now getting out of distance to the mile and a 16th. And I do think, even though he is 0 for 5 at this particular distance, it's probably he raced against better horses in the past, and that's where some of them came from. We saw at Saratoga he faced non-winners of 3 for 50,000, so a different class caliber there when he was going a mile and a 16th. And he doesn't have a lot of early speed, so I think the added distance can only help a horse like that.
Well, let's wrap it up. I mean, that's the horse I picked in third. Let's wrap it up. It's a late running type. I think he's along for a share.
All right, we'll move on to the second race. 6,250 non-winners of 2 lifetime conditions, 6 furlongs onto the main track, and you and I both agree on the 4 big distinction.
Yeah, drop it to this 12.5 level after returning from the fresh, and he went up, chased the pace, finished a distant fourth. It was against 12.5. 2 lifetime claimers going 3/4 of a mile. I think it's a good spot for him. The level of competition here looks like it's favorably going to be favorable for number 4 big distinction. Easy for me to say.
And not only that, though, was he caught in a tricky position last time out, Ron. He was unfortunately chasing the speed of Shaft of Light, who was a George Navarro runner who just opened up on the rest of the field. So he was caught in a tricky position chasing those early fractions. But not only that, he was down on the worst part of the track throughout the majority of the stretch. We saw a series of days between the 17th of February, even backtracking to around the 13th of February too, a series of days where the rail really wasn't the place to be, and he was kind of glued to the rail throughout the stretch.
Yeah, and that was, it was actually, you can see that during that little bit of a stretch, the inside was definitely not the place to be. I used the 2-2 who you used on your ticket, Caribbean Spirit, who's hoping to find more for the stretch run after dueling early, holding on, finished okay third at this level and distance, and I think it's a logical horse to be on the exacta ticket.
I used the 7, Mr. Shipman, at a price for the exacta, and last time out I thought, well, you go back to the claim out of the George Navarro barn, and maybe this horse really just hasn't panned out as a claim, but he had some excuses. I thought his subpar performance was on a good track against a hot pace on the 6th of January. He came back to face Open Company, and he was completely compromised coming out of the gate. He was slammed on both sides, so that he had to overcome that. And last time out, I simply think the mile was a touch too far, so now he cuts back to a preferred distance, and 12-1 on the morning line. You got to like that.
You got to like that. And in this race, we both go with the 4, but it's more wide open than just the 4-horse win in the second race.
We'll move on to the third race, a maiden $75,000 event. Scratch the 6, vroom, vroom, vroom. A mile and a 16th onto the turf, and we'll see the favorite in here is obviously between the 1, Madame Barbarian, and the 3, Candida. These 2 horses will probably get the majority of the money, but we'll start off with a statistic for the 1, Madame Barbarian. And for the barn, maiden special weight to maiden claimers given first-time Lasix. Actually, 0 for 6 for the George Weaver barn, but they do actually run very, very well, 4 for 6 in the money.
Well, I'm glad about that, because usually when you get this stat up here, and any kind of negative stat, it's usually my top selection in the race, which is the 1, Madame Barbarian. Drop it to this level after receiving laces, stretching out to a mile and a 16th again. Got parked, I thought, 6th wide on the turn, finished 5th against maiden special weight competition. So I just thought this horse ran well. Going 7.5 furlongs. It's George Weaver, Louis Saez atop this daughter's stroll. And I looked it up. She's a full assistant to a stakes winner that we know, Cronin the Barbarian. So lots of things to like about the number 1, Madame Barbarian.
She's one you have to respect. By no means am I saying throw her out of your pick 5 ticket or pick 4 ticket, because you have to respect the connections, and she's bred top and bottom too, like the lawn, and she's meeting easier company here today. I was interested in some others. The 5, Gerlin, was one of them, even though she doesn't have a tremendous amount of early speed last time out. I thought we've seen plenty of times Dale Romans with class droppers, especially on the turf, maiden special weight to maiden claimers, and the barn does very well. And yesterday was one, I know it was a dirt race, but the connections were a little bit, no, it was a turf race. No, it was a dirt. I can't remember.
2 were dirt. I think they were dirt.
Corey Lannery was aboard, and they got aggressive with that horse and went to the lead. So I'm thinking that we're going to see an improved performance from Gerlin today, so I'll be opting for her. But the 2, Boo, I wanted to go back and watch this replay, because you see in the short comment there of her last race at Woodbine against Maiden Special Weight Company, came in and bumped repeatedly throughout the stretch. And we can see this, the number 9 here in the blue blinkers and the blue colors. She was bumped to her inside, her outside. She was sandwiched. But I think it was because of her own undoing, Ron. She looked like a horse that was lugging in very badly throughout the stretch. Even here now, you can see her continuing to lug in, and the rider has a really strong grip of that right rein. So are we going to see an improved performance from her? She looked like a horse that had a little bit of talent. And I like her at a price because look at the money she took in debut. She only went off at 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, she took a lot of money in that performance. So we'll see how Boo runs today. Not one of the horses I did use on my ticket, but I did go with the 3 Candido, who's stepping up the competition again. Responded to a drop to the $50,000 level. Second place finish as the favorite last time out. Todd Fletcher, John Velasquez, stepping it back, up again. Ran very well last time out. I think they're just looking for a level for this horse to run, and I don't see any world beaters in here. This might be the logical horse in this race.
Yeah, she does look pretty tough in that spot as well. I respect her in the top 3. I was just trying to get a little creative with this race because it is a smaller field and you never really know what's going to happen. I'm really intrigued to see Boo come back off of the layoff after that last race, though.
Well, she did get bumped.
She did. She was all over the place during the stretch. We'll go to race 4. Non-winners are 3 lifetime condition in for that $16,000 tag, 1 mile and a 16th. On the turf course in the 7 St. Abbey. We'll take a look at her most recent effort there on the 13th of March. She was actually the number 6 horse in here, and we'll start it off. We'll cue it at the 3/8 pole.
Yeah, she had to get checked sharply in here, and you'll see it when it comes up. And you'll see it just have to take back and, keep going back. And I just thought after that performance that, this horse didn't get a real, chance to run. She comes up and she gets, doesn't get beaten. She had a check there. She just didn't have that clear sailing that you wanted her to have, And when she comes out, she just gets nailed at the wire at this level and distance. Jane Sibeli, Javier Castellano, a little race early, I think in race 3, we're naming that race after Javier Castellano, who is the leading rider. To me, I thought this horse ran well. Just gets nailed at the wire at the end. And I thought if this horse had clear sailing early on, might win this race.
Yeah, and I agree with you. She put in a pretty solid performance, and that was, she had to kind of hold off Pollyanna, who had a little bit more momentum, I would say, at the top of the stretch. She had a clear trip. She angled out, rallied, whereas St. Abbey, I don't think the checking was really the issue, but I also thought that she was reserved, and that probably hindered her from her best performance. Not only that, she unfortunately inherited the lead a little bit too soon. And I think the pace scenario might be a bit more conducive for her today.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, ridden by Javier Castellano, who is the leading rider of the championship meet. So lots of things to like about number 7, St. Abbey. We both have it on top of our ticket.
And the 1, Paparie, now draws the rail, and she looks to have inside speed. I kind of don't like that she has to face non-winners of 3 lifetime today off of that last victory and then stretch out to 1 mile and a 16th. I would have even preferred if maybe she was cutting back to maybe the 7.5 furlongs after that win. But this is a very small field, and I think she could use that speed to her advantage.
Yeah, and I thought she got hounded every step of the way last time on, and she held sway to defeat 16-2 lifetime claiming. She is stepping up. Dom Schettino, Johnny Velasquez to ride. Castellano was on. He's going to stick with St. Abbey today. We've got people that play musical jockeys. Might read something into that.
I'll throw the 3 set on Salsa there in the exact as well. Second time off the freshening here and facing decent company. She's going to have to prove off of her last race, and she is only 2 for 20. I don't really like her as a win proposition, but you could get a decent price for her. Kind of grasping at straws beyond the favorite.
Yeah, me too. Number 6, Rince Tepe, was game and defeat. She rallied late. She was 86-1 last time out. So one of the horses I threw, Tino Attard, Elvis Trujillo, bit of a long shot. Now I don't know what it is on the board, but 10-1.
Well, that is actually races 1 through 4. You threw up your pick 5 ticket, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll get to the Rainbow 6 and the late pick 5 right after this. welcome back to Gulfstream today. The Rainbow Six kicks off in race 5 on today's program.
Gabby got it again yesterday.
I did. Paid $177.
Hey, it's a
Nothing
winner,
to
right?
write home about.
Yeah, you made a profit, so that's good. What's that? The 5th one of the meet, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, very
like
good
that.
job.
Thank you.
Props to my sidekick here.
Unfortunately, we couldn't hit it on the mandatory payout though, and that's really all that mattered. So, but no, it was a fun sequence yesterday. It was a pretty chalky sequence, and I think it might be a little bit more wide open today with some of the other races, but there is a clear-cut single in the sequence, and we'll see the sequence right now, and I think that gives you the ability to maybe get creative in other legs of the sequence. We go to race 7, the 2 best behavior at 3 to 5 on the morning line. I'm not trying to beat her, and she does look like your single in the sequence, but I'm going to try to beat some of the other favorites in the sequence and use other horses there in races 6 and 8, using 4 in that leg, and then capping it off with just 3 in race 10. So we'll start it off. We know, you and I both know, because it kicked us out of the mandatory payout pick 6. These low-level maiden claimers can be awfully tricky sometimes.
Yeah, and I see your selections up there. We only did for one horse. That's the 6 Key West Dew. But I think the one, So You Think You're a Romeo, is going to go from the rail today. Broke mid-pack, tracked the pace, going forward in a third, coming up a half length of exiting the maiden ranks at this level and distance off the performance. I think you got to have this one on that ticket.
I agree with you, and I do respect him. I'll try to beat him, though. He holds the biggest Spire speed figure by a huge margin. So if you're going to try to beat a horse like that, I think you have to beat him with an unknown factor. And the unknown factor is a first-time starter with the 2 Daddy Duke, and we'll show a statistic for Kathleen O'Connell with maiden claimers, first-time starters on the dirt over the past couple of years, 15%, but 41% in the money, and that's a big sample size, and that's what I kind of wanted to talk about, is that she does it often, and she finds success with it, so much success that she still has a positive ROI. So this isn't kind of something that the barn doesn't do. They have plenty of experience with maiden claimer first-time starters, so that's the angle that I'm going with to try to beat your heavy favorite.
I mean, one of the key angles here during our spring and summer sessions is Kathleen O'Connell. With a first-time starter, you always got to give it a second look, and I think this son of the Discreet Cat couldn't have scripted an easier spot to start its career. Lasix and Kathleen's go-to jock, Eduardo Nunez, in the saddle.
We'll move on to the 6th race, a 30,000 non-winners, a 2 lifetime race, a mile and a 16th on the turf course. This does kick off the late pick 5, and did you have the same single as I did?
No.
Oh.
I didn't have a single today. I went a little different way. I actually went 2 deep in, 3 deep in that race, because I'm thinking maybe I can get it done. But I did go with 3 horses in here, in the 1, 3, and 6. And I'm really intrigued with the 6th horse in here, and that is Whipsnade. And I put this one right on top of my ticket today. I think it's 8 or 10 to 1 on the morning line. You see 3 deep, 2 deep, 3 deep, 2 deep. I'm going to try and beat best behavior today.
Okay. I'm interested to get to that race, too. We'll see race 6, though, on today's card as we kick off the late pick 5. And you did land on the 6, Whipsnade, and trying to transition or even improve getting to the turf for the first time.
Yeah, this one is debuting on the turf, as you mentioned, for trainer Brendan Walsh, who just had a great championship meeting, making her first start since dueling for the lead. She encountered some trouble in that 16th pole, finished 4th, but it was a key race on the Laurel Main track that has produced 3 next out winners from only 4 starters. She's training forwardly on the Palm Meadows turf. So I just thought this horse, I kept going back. I was intrigued by it, so I put it on my ticket, and I'm glad to see you did too.
I did, and I'll use her in the Rainbow Six too, and primarily because if she does like the turf today, on the bottom side, the mare actually did produce one other turf winner. So if she does like the turf, she could perhaps be lone speed in here, or at least be on the front end.
Yeah.
And I've already seen several times so far at the meet, Julian Leperoux steal races on the front end on the turf especially. So she could be a sneaky horse in here, but we'll talk about I landed on the 7 Capriasca here, and primarily I don't often do this. I don't pick 5 furlong turf sprinter stretching out to a route of ground, but she doesn't look like a turf sprinter, so I'm thinking that she could carry her form a little bit better stretching out to 2 turns, and she will be close to the lead as well now stretching out to 2 turns.
Right.
So maybe not as fast as Whipsnade, but it might give her the ability to settle closer to the front end. 5 furlongs is such a specialist distance,
Right.
and she just doesn't look like that is her preferred distance.
Yeah, our best performance was actually going 7 furlongs. It wasn't like 5.5 on the dirt or 6 like that. So I think she can run well in it. And then we both used the number 3, Key d'Oro. Been knocking on the door in both recent races at this level and distance. But in the pace department, she needs that help up front to run well in there. Maybe if these 2 horses we just mentioned, Ding Dong, it sets up for a horse like number 3, Key d'Oro.
Well, as you said, she does seem to be a little bit pace dependent in here, because she needs the pace to come back to her. But not only that, Ron, she is kind of over 5 at the distance. Sometimes she's just left with a little bit too much to do. She is only 1 for 18, and she is 5-2 on the morning line. So I think you and I both took the approach that you have to respect the favorite,
right,
but at the same time, this race is kind of wide open if you're looking to play those multi-race sequences.
Yeah, and the other horse I threw in, Moonlit, Sonnet, excuse me, I can't read my writing, eligible to show more. She responded last time with a decent 4th place finish, beating only a length. Joe Orsino, Joe Bravo, inside post today. Another horse. That's why I went to the 6. I just think the 6 in here could win this race, because I like the fact that this horse might be on the lead by herself. Excuse me.
Okay, we'll go to the 7th race, the starter optional claiming event, mile onto the main track. 3 to 5 in the morning line. The 2, Best Behavior. I'm not trying to beat her. You pick her on top here, but you protect yourself in the late pick 5.
Yeah, whoever wrote this condition for this horse, it's fantastic. You see, it's a $12,500 starter optional claimer. This one competed in 12 consecutive stakes races, which includes a victory in the Grade 3 Sugar Squirrel in December. She stretches out to a distance she's very good at. 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. Edgard's Ice, lots of things to like in there. I threw in Starship Lisa underneath. I think that maybe this one's trying to make it 2 in a row. Rallied wide. If there's something wrong here, maybe I can get lucky and get a price on my ticket with Starship Lisa or Concealed with a Kiss.
Okay, so I like your strategy, because if she doesn't deliver in here, then you're going to be, the pick 5 payoff is going to be tremendous.
Well, yeah, so I just didn't want to single it, even though it's probably going to come up and bite me, but I just thought maybe I might get lucky and a longer shot will come in.
I just think she has the speed. We have Concealed with a Kiss, who I think if she goes with Best Behavior, it's going to be to her own detriment. It looks like a horse that she really, really wants. It prefers the lead, and I don't know if she's fast enough to get it. Best Behavior has been coming out of graded stakes company, and she is meeting a very easy field, especially with 2 of the scratches. I liked the 5 Bahia de Oro a little bit, but she is scratched out. So this is a very compact field. I just think she's much the best. The 7 Starship Lisa I will use in second, though. But she's another one who, last time out, the pace really fell apart into her lap. We saw Too Clever by half. That is a proven sprinter, and they stretched her out to a mile for the first time. She made the lead, and she just kind of stopped in front of her. So was that race a little bit better because of that scenario? That's the reservation that I have with her, and that's kind of what gave me confidence to single Best Behavior.
And, being totally honest, I thought Best Behavior might have had a chance to be beaten before at the 2 scratches in the race, but you made a great point by saying it's a compact field now, and I think it's certainly her race to lose.
We'll move on to the 8th race, 16,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime, 5 furlongs on the turf. We have a lot of scratches in here, and it does change the complete dynamic of the field from an odds perspective, from a pace perspective, really from everything. You're kind of stuck on horses without a lot of solid ground. The 5 Tonight actually gets to the turf for the first time. We have My Corinthian, who is kind of a proven commodity on the turf, and some other long shots in here. It could kind of pave the way to some decent prices.
Yeah, I mean, the logical choice I thought was the 10, as you mentioned, My Corinthian beating the neck at this level and distance back in early February, turning back, removes the blinkers, showed brief speed, packed it in when trying to mile in the 16th last time out. This distance is better. Dane Kubitsky doing a great job. We mentioned Corey Lannery riding in great form. A logical choice. After that, it gets a little dicey. I know that you have the number 9 horse on top of your ticket.
And with the scratches, I think My Corinthian will probably be heavy favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Because she has proven herself on the turf. She got into a lot of trouble back in her race in December, and I absolutely loved her when she was 4-1 in the subsequent start on the 5th of February. She was beaten by Love Dakota Sky, who actually got into trouble in the race prior to. So a legitimate contender. I like the cutback for her. The 9 Zeus Odin is one I will use because because you look at the competition that she faced the last time she sprinted on the turf, or he sprinted, excuse me. It was against Allowance Optional Claiming Company here in September at Gulfstream. The odd thing about this horse, Ron, was that he was only 10-1 in that race. So that was a very tough field. He was semi-respected by the public. Yes, he didn't show up. He kind of just chased and went backwards. But now getting to a firm turf and a big drop in class, I think he could be a sneaky horse in here.
Well, the horse that you have in third, I went back and looked when I had, I lost the my top three selections in this race, exact top two selections. The two Perdido Playboy ran okay when sprinting on the grass at Gulfstream Park West in November. Is back in South Florida. He's been showing speed against $25,000 types, both up at Tampa and here. Going back to the turf today, I think he might turn out to be the speed of the speed. And he had Paco Lopez in the saddle. I think this race sets up from, you're looking on the line, it's 20-1, but that was way before all this stuff happened in this race. So horse back then, I'm glad you threw the horse on the ticket too.
Yeah, I used him in the Rainbow Six. I think Paco could just send him out of the gate and be all said and done from there in that 5 furlong turf sprint. We'll move on to the 9th race, the first half of the late daily double and allowance optional claiming event, 7 furlongs on the main track. And we have the 2 Browse coming in off of a layoff since early December. And we'll watch that replay actually on when she made her debut performance in a very, very impressive race.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this race going back. What an impressive performance by this horse. Just drew off and won it, and now coming back. And I just thought it was a fantastic performance for her to start a debut. It's trained by Shug McGahee and has the 5th Stables, homebred daughter of Medagliadoro, training sharply at Payson Park. We've been mentioning this over the last week or two. Horses that have been training at Payson Park and training well have come back here and run exceptionally well. And you just see she was much the best in there, and it just looked like she was cruising to the wire.
It was a paid workout, it looked like. She drew away from the rest of the field, and now she gets Lasix off time away. And you do bring up a good point. Some of the horses from Payson have really been firing on all cylinders. Just look at Bill Mott, who won races across the entire country last weekend. So this is one filly that you have to respect, but the 3 Estelle has recency and a good stat for the barn. Tom Albatrani will show a statistic over the past several years. Turf to dirt, second start off the layoff, 20%, 56% in the money, and almost a $3 ROI. I thought that was pretty strong. And she gets Lasix. She keeps the blinkers on as they put them on her last time out. I don't know what the strategy will be, because last time out she did duel on the front end. I almost wonder now on the surface change and cut back in distance, now with the blinkers on, is she going to show that speed? Will it be to her detriment, or will they take her back off the pace?
Well, maybe they put the speeds on so they can calm it, the blinkers on, excuse me, to calm it down a little bit, instead of just sending her out there. Did not use that one on my ticket, but I used the 1 April Gauge, stretching out to 7 furlongs, a couple of solid efforts at 3/4 of miles. She shook off trouble to defeat $50,000 optional claimers 2 starts back, and was second against $75,000 optional claimers last time. Horse has been in good form, and I think the race sets up for this type of horse who can be on or just off the lead.
I think she has to go from the rail, to be honest, because 7 furlongs, she has speed. I thought it was one of her better races last time out when she did decide to go to the lead, but her hand is going to be forced. When you draw the rail, it's the best case scenario if you have a fast horse, because then you go and try to clear the field and get into a decent position. But if the 3 Estelle does go second time blinkers now on the main track, that could compromise her and force her hand a little bit. If that does happen, it's going to set up for the 5 Dad's Kiddo, who really is no slouch in her own right. She had to chase Lucy and Ethel in the old hat, but you look at her races against even Island Saint, she has that stalking speed, and she will be sitting in the catbird seat if a potential pace duel does develop.
I mean, she stakes place sprinting on the grass, albeit it was at 6 furlongs. She returned from the fresh. She finished a troubled third. She had a little trouble in that race, was going 5 furlongs on the turf in the Melody of Colors. So I think you're right there. I mean, it's someone that I had to put on my ticket too.
It's a kind of a tricky race because of I think it's a rider's race too, given the pace scenario in that particular event, our feature race of the day. We'll move on to the 10th and final, a maiden $16,000 event, 5 furlongs onto the turf course, and the 5 variety of colors looks to be your favorite. Hopefully closing from off the pace today, was beaten by Value Baby last time out, who definitely had the credentials to win that race.
Yeah, and this one was solid in defeat. I thought we're talking about variety of colors. When breaking from a tough outside post, it was post 11. She rallied to finish second. It was this same level and distance, and you're out there in post 11, and you can run that well. I got to respect you, Jane Sibeli, Nick Juarez in the saddle. Jane Sibeli, a fantastic championship meeting too.
Oh yeah, she's been bringing out some nice horses here. I will land on a long shot, and this could be to my
we love
peril.
these long. We love these long.
Could be to my peril. Hopefully this horse shows a little bit more speed today. The 3 Rara, I'll try to take a shot with. The blinkers do go on, and you look at the 3 performances against 5 furlong turf sprinters. In debut, this horse was extremely wide in that in the final turn. I thought was really compromised against Maiden Special Weight Company. You look at the subsequent Maiden Special Weight, again outclassed there, 27-1, and then most recently, 26th of December. This horse was kind of bottled up in between horses, never really had a full opportunity to run. You can see in the short comment, reserved early, and she didn't really kick clear from there. But under the new barn, the blinkers do go on, and I think we could see a different horse now on the drop down to the maiden 16 level.
Yeah, and that's a great angle there, and you've ridden today by Edgar Zayas. So the horse that's 15-1 in the morning line, and that's the type you need to maybe you make that Rainbow Six pay more than whatever.
Dividends, yeah, more than yesterday, $177. We both throw in the 1, Blame the Cat there, who does look like inside speed.
Yeah, she yielded late to finish second against 25,000 maidens. Dan Peter, apprentice John Cruz playing Catch Me If You Can.
All right, and that is races 1 through 10. Once again, the Rainbow Six kicks off in race 5. We have a nice carryover in that wager here today. Got a peek at my $65,000 in that carryover in the Rainbow Six.
They bet it a lot, as you mentioned yesterday. Of course, you know, we give 70% back if it's not that one unique ticket, so they bet it pretty good, and I think that's going to keep getting bet and see if they hit it on the big day tomorrow. And don't forget, it starts in race number 9 tomorrow, the Rainbow Six.
Race 9. Yes, it's a couple of races before we get to the Rainbow Six tomorrow, but you can bet all of that action today. We have advanced wagering today. It started at 11:30, so get your tickets in. You can bet any race on the Florida Derby card, so it's skip the lines today, go bet, and hopefully you have some luck.
Have some luck, and we got those great guarantees in the late pick 4 and 5. It's going to be a fun day.
And that's it for us. Thank you once again for joining us on Gulfstream today. We're going to take a quick break. Larry Colmus will be up with scratches and changes, and we'll be back for those races 1 through 10.
Our day begins early.